Hello and welcome back to a very late New Year's update from an Unwound Clockwork. Sorry for the delay, I got ill in January and then everything took a bit longer, and now I just finished the last remaining robot kit parts. So here I am to finally talk about last month's progress and what I have planned for next year. Looking back at 2024, I think it's safe to say that our main task was just the completion of all the establishing shots of the movie. We have built all 3 stages of that column with the city on top, our world model, and did all the camera movements with it. And mostly the setup was a lot of work with this, but then there wasn't a lot of animation going on. So that's a bit unsatisfying, and also in terms of minutes from the movie, it's not a lot of progress. But still, it was a very tedious and important task, so I'm really glad that's completed now. And then in December, we have finished another little one-shot set, basically. It's a piece of wall with lots of statistics and paperwork pinned to it. Basically an insert shot for another scene. Maurice has prepared all the details, and then we shot it between the holidays. So another shot done. Looking at the numbers, we're now at 85% of shooting. That's an increase of roughly 3% compared to last year. And we also made a bit of progress on the post-production. But overall, it's not a huge increase. And as I said, these shots took a lot of preparation, which doesn't show very well in percentages. But still, we managed to fill a lot of these gaps in the storyboard, all the establishing shots. And that mostly leaves this one big scene to be done at the end of the movie in the scrapyard set, which I'm really looking forward to start building. And I must admit, during last year, my main task really was the manufacturing of the robot kit parts, which took a lot of mental capacity and also workshop capacities each month. I'm very limited with working areas and space, and having them constantly filled with the next batch of robot kit parts, that made it very difficult for me to work on additional crafts for the movie itself. So that sadly didn't work out as I hoped. Still, I'm really grateful I had this opportunity for those robot kits. I think they were a lovely project and I grew on it. And also it was a personal achievement because it was really the first time that my work was self-sustaining, that I made a living just from my crafts as a freelance artist. So that was really great, and I want to thank everyone who got involved in this project. Still, I have a movie to complete and I somehow need to find the space and time to work on it, despite still making a living. So I'm going to try something else next year, and as it happened, I got a small fund to develop my light controller project into a real product. So that's something which I will continue to work on and also give you updates on it, but it will take some time until we get there, of course, and it will also be a huge undertaking. There's no way denying that. So working on this product development will be something like my day job for next year, but I hope this will leave the workshop more available for the actual movie project. Still, managing my time and mental capacity will stay challenging, and with that in mind, I also want to make some changes to my YouTube and Patreon presence. So I came to the conclusion that these monthly update videos are not ideal for what I'm doing right now. Even last year I always felt obliged doing an update video every month, despite quite often not having proper news to talk about. And so instead of spending the time making actual progress on the movie, I talked about not having made some progress, and that felt very counterproductive and frustrating, and I also think it doesn't make for very good content. So what I want to do instead is making shorter videos about specific topics again, like showing a specific build or technique, or talking about a specific aspect of the movie, or even side projects or surrounding topics like things which inspired me or something like this. Maybe you also have ideas for a topic you would like me to make a video about. If you have any aspects which interest you the most, then please leave a comment down below. I'm all ears for your suggestions. Another reason to move away from monthly updates is that I will soon start to work on things which would be major spoilers for the ending of the movie, and so I don't want to reveal that yet. So instead I will still provide monthly updates for my Patreon members in written form with images. So if you're really interested what's going on every month, then maybe become a Patreon member for that. And other than that, I will only make update videos when I have a proper milestone to talk about. And other than that, I will try making one video per month, but with a more loose schedule and allow myself more freedom in terms of what I'm talking about. And I hope it will also make for better content, especially for people who are just discovering my work. So with these upcoming changes, I have a much better feeling about continuing and focusing on the project again. And I can't wait to get started, but before that there's one thing from last year which now needs to be finished, and that's the last remaining robot kit parts. Okay, so the last remaining parts are the door to his belly and his shiny metal ass, which is a number plate. The door started off as a piece of laser cut bronze, which I bent to shape with the wooden blocks like all the housing parts, and polished it to a matte finish. And then I soldered on the handle and the hinge, which are additional brass components. In this case I used soft soldering paste, which I heated with the hot air gun, as it's much more convenient on places like this, which would be very hard to polish and also don't need to be super strong. So the number plate is also a piece of laser cut sheet metal, but brass in this case. I polished it nicely and then punched in my little logo hallmark as well as a continuous number. I'm getting number 1 for the robot I'm assembling myself, and you get numbers 2 to 19 in the order they were ordered. So the number is really unique for every one of the robot kits. In addition to that, for the assembly you get 2 little nuts, 2 washers and 4 4mm screws. So let's get started with the door to his belly. We just take the robot and put the door hinge between those curly pieces of sheet metal on his torso. It works best to have the door slightly open and then align it so that the thread is visible through the little hole on top. And then we use one of the 4mm screws, insert it from the top and carefully screw it in place. So the thread in the hinge is cut to the precise depth of the length of the screw. So after a few turns you should feel it getting a bit harder before it clamps the door shut on the hinge. So you just tighten it slightly so that the screw doesn't get loose by itself, but the door is still freely movable on the hinge. Then just turn the robot over, realign the thread on the bottom side like this, and take a second of those screws and also screw it in carefully until it gets tight, but don't over tighten it so the door is still freely movable like this. And just like that he has a nice cover for all his intestines gears. And then we turn him over, get his feet out of the way, and then we need to loosen the third screw on his back down there. That was only temporary if you remember, so I put in a finger in his housing and then loosen that little screw. That one is a spare one because it will be too short once we add the number plate. And there's also an additional washer and nut inside there, but I decided to send you a complete set anyway because nuts and washers are lost very easily. Then we take the number plate and put it on his back and align the holes, and then put one of the screws through each of the holes like that. And now it gets a bit difficult again because we need to get in the nuts and washers below those screws. I usually arrange them on the tip of my finger and then carefully go in from below and hopefully manage to line it up with the screw. If your finger doesn't fit in there or it's too fiddly, then try using pliers or something, or a little helping contraption, maybe a bit of clay on the end of a toothpick or something, but eventually it should be possible to get it in somehow. Like that, washer, nut, and try to fit it over the end of the screw. Yeah, worked out. Careful with fingerprints, they really show on this shiny surface. And like that, the little fella is now completed with door and butt and everything, and I hope you had great fun assembling him. It was certainly challenging for me to manufacture all those parts, but also very joyful. And it's great to think about that 19 of these little guys now exist all over the world. And yeah, the original character he was inspired by in the movie is called number 71, and in an Unwound Clockwork he takes care of a big steam engine. And yeah, of course there are some slight differences between the original design and this one. This one was built with much more manufacturing knowledge on my side and also with the kids in mind, but overall they're still very, very similar to each other. So yeah, I hope you can see it like a piece from the movie, and I consider these guys here the big brothers of the little guy from the movie. So yeah, thanks a lot for yeah, being with me on this journey, and yeah, maybe at some point I will do something similar again, but not right now. So this last assembly now also concludes a huge project in itself. I hope you had fun following along, and I'm mostly relieved that it's now completed and everything worked out somehow and fit together. Yeah, it was a huge challenge, but also really satisfying. And yeah, if you're one of the few who got one of those kits, I would love to get an image or a bit of feedback. Really, if there's something you're happy to share with the world, I would like to make a little compilation video of all the robots out there, but of course that's entirely optional. Only if there's something you're happy to share, then please let me know and how to credit you, and then I might put a little something together about the kits finally. Bonus points if you actually try to animate him in stop motion. That would be really awesome to see, but yeah, no pressure. You can tell I'm really relieved that it's done, and yeah, thank you all so much for following along and your support on this journey. And yeah, I'll be back in a few weeks with a video about something completely different, and until then I hope you have a happy new year and see you next time again. Bye bye.